If it feels like life down here on Earth, it keeps getting more and more hopeless, maybe we can, find at least a little reason for optimism up in outer space. Right? Because humanity's going back to the moon for the first time since 1972. And last night you had thousands of people camping out on Florida's Cocoa Beach to watch that enormous rocket shooting up from the Kennedy Space Center.
4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound.
They are on the way, and God bless them. These are brave people.
So this mission, it's called Artemis II because it's the second out of 4 missions that NASA has planned. And the first one actually went up in 2022, but no one was kind of really paying attention that time, except like the really hardcore people. It was uncrewed, there wasn't a lot of fanfare. But this one, it had people pumped. You had 4 astronauts, 3 Americans, 1 Canadian. But also, they're not actually gonna land on the moon. They're gonna fly around it. And actually, the third mission in 2027, that one's not gonna land either. It's just to test the equipment to dock with the landers that they plan to use. But then the fourth, in 2028, that's when they're gonna put boots on the lunar surface again for the first time since the Apollo missions. But also, and I have to stress this because my son will get very angry if I don't, just because the astronauts on this flight aren't gonna be landing, that doesn't mean it's not super fucking cool. I mean, for one thing, space is dangerous no matter what. There is a risk tied to it, there's a million things going on, and a lot of those impact life or death. But then also, they are going into deep space on this one. I mean, to put it into perspective, the ISS, it orbits just 250 miles above Earth. And the moon, it's some 250,000 miles away, and they're gonna be going around that even further than we've ever done before. And they're also flying aboard a spacecraft that's never carried humans before, ever. Oh, well, again, anything could go wrong. During the first uncrewed mission, the spacecraft's heat shield suffered unexpected damage. And that's just one example, but not great because the craft is gonna have to deal with heat of up to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit when it re-enters Earth's atmosphere. And so yeah, I'm gonna agree with Trump on this one thing. He said these guys and one gal, they're brave. And fortunately, so far, things are going well. And the launch itself went pretty smoothly.
Outstanding, Stan. We see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
Though there, I'll say they're technically not headed to the moon yet. Because first, they're gonna circle the Earth and conduct a bunch of tests to make sure that everything's good before making what's called a translunar injection. Which really quick, calm down RFK, that is not something getting cooked up by Pfizer and Moderna. It just means getting on a trajectory toward the moon. And assuming that everything's normal, they're supposed to do that tonight, but also there was an issue, a potentially gut-wrenching problem, if you will. The toilet didn't work, but apparently its fault light was blinking when the astronauts tried to turn it on, so NASA told them to kind of just shit in bags in the meantime, which I will say is actually how the Apollo astronauts did it back in the day. So, they just dumped all their waste on the moon where presumably it is still sitting there today. But by contrast, the Artemis crew, they're supposed to enjoy the luxury of a dedicated private bathroom with a toilet.
You have a urine hose, so this is where you collect all your urine. And then this is just like a toilet seat, and this is where the solid waste is collected. The feces gets sucked down into the bottom, into a bag, and you close that off and you squish it down into the bottom into the canister.
The room also comes with handrails and foot tethers, so you've got something to hold on into zero gravity, and/or you, I guess, haven't been eating enough fiber. And then actually, one more fun fact, instead of recycling their own urine and drinking it the next day like they do on the ISS, the Artemis crew, they're just gonna vent it out into space. So yeah, the Artemis crew, they're gonna be literally pissing into the void multiple times a day. But back to the actual news, NASA said, they did fix whatever was wrong with the toilet, so barring any other hiccups, they should be on their way tonight. With them then expected to reach the moon by Monday, and since they'll swing even further past it than the Apollo guys did, they'll break the record for distance from Earth by over 4,000 miles. With the astronauts then spending hours gawking at the lunar surface, including portions of the far side that have never been seen by human eyes before. And in fact, they were trained by geologists before they left so that they could spot unique features and snap photos of them for further study. And meanwhile, tiny chips containing the astronaut cells are distributed throughout the spacecraft so that medical researchers can study the effects of space travel, zero-G, and radiation exposure. With them then slingshotting around the moon, hurtling back toward Earth, where they'll end up parachuting down in the Pacific Ocean on April 10th, completing a nearly 700,000 mile journey. And then presumably we're off to the races, first to put humans on the moon before China does, then to build a permanent base on the lunar surface, which it just sounds fucking awesome, and finally realizing Elon Musk's dream of reaching Mars. And hopefully he doesn't make it a hellhole like he did with X. Though also speaking of Elon Musk, his company SpaceX just filed to go public in June, which could be one of the biggest IPOs in history. Right? It values itself at over $1 trillion, and Elon's hoping to raise another 50 to 75 billion with this. So yeah, man, I hate my brain. This was supposed to be like just a positive story, but now I'm like, oh yeah, the same money getting us to Mars is also eroding our democracy back on Earth.